Now, if you would have heard this week's edition or last week's of Breakfast with Blassie, you would have known that Enzo Amore tonight was going to be making an announcement, and I teased that it would be musically related. And as you just heard, he has come out with a tune, a music video entitled Phoenix. And if you didn't understand the lyrics, yes, it is a direct cheap shot towards a lot of websites out there, a lot of goofy podcasters, deservingly so, and a certain female in the state of Arizona. We'll leave it like that. So what'd you think of it?
It makes me think that John Cena is not that bad of a rapper. That's what it really makes me think. I think Cena is better, to be honest with you. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's not my cup of tea. I mean, I know you like some hip hop, but you're more of a freestyle guy. I'm not really into that kind of music, and I'm also almost 50 years old, so I don't know if I'm a good judge of it. But I don't think he's got a good delivery. Am I wrong there? People in the chat room who know rap, he got good rhyme and rhythm and delivery? I don't think so.
Well, I like classic old school hip hop. You know, I'm more into like smooth beats. I know some people call this trap rap, you know, or trap music, I guess you'd call it. You know, look, that's not my cup of tea as far as that type of rap, that style, just the whole thing. But you know what? I played the little teaser last week of something I said 3 months ago. A lot of these goofy websites, you know, they're very careless with a lot of their words, just absolutely careless. And there were never any charges pending. There was nothing filed. They were looking into them, but that's what it was. It was nothing more and nothing less. And, you know, this is him venting now, basically pissed off and doing it in the form of music. You know, I got to be honest with you. It's getting a ton of hits online. I know that he is now part of a website that has a lot of other rap on it as well. World Star Hip Hop. They have merchandise up there as well. And you know what? If he can, you know, make some money off of this, and you know, we'll see where it goes. I mean, again, it's not my type of music, but I have no problem with it at all.
Yeah, I mean, it's Draper, my brother, actually wrote something pretty equivalent. He's like the Cash Me Outside girl. Sounds like that girl with the World Star also backed her too, by the way.
Yeah,
World Star to me is more known for fights than they are for anything else. When I go to World Star clips, it's usually somebody getting beat down. Yeah,
no, I know, but you know what? There's definitely a demographic that likes that type of music. Enzo obviously likes to perform that type of music. I didn't think it was bad. If you actually read the lyrics, it is very creative, and some of the rhymes are just, I think, absolutely fascinating. And, you know, he's venting on something that ruined his wrestling career. So, you know what? If he can make something out of this, I continue my support for him.
Well, I agree, but to echo, like I said, I like to give credit where credit's due. I don't want to seem like I'm biting off anybody. Joey Numbers said something interesting for our brethren from the Wrestling Soup. That is it wise for him to make fun of wrestling fans? I mean, there were a lot of fans who backed him.
Well,
wasn't he kind of saying most of us are a bunch of fat recliner slobs wiping our hands on the fucking side of the couch?
Honestly, and this is no criticism to Joey, because 99% of the places that are playing this right now don't have the lyrics attached to it. But he is not ripping on the people that have been supporting him. He's ripping on these webcasts and these goofy podcasters and websites that have been, you know, really just careless with their shit. I'm telling you, you know, me and Mish had a ball making fun of websites that were trying to interpret the accident report for Jeff Hardy, you know, when he got, you know, pinched from the cops.
I remember that.
And it's just, you could see how amateur a lot of websites and people are when you just see certain words, just the way things are written. And honestly, you know, I think a lot of people out there don't even fit in that category. I mean, you know, there was a lot of assholes online that are just really careless with what they were saying. I'm not saying that Mish or Joey or you or anyone else, you know, we don't do that. But I'm just saying there was a shitload of people out there that did. And, you know, every time you hear me joke about goofy podcasters and websites and why I don't listen to 3/4 of the bullshit shows out there, this is a good reason why. I mean, just look. The funny thing is, you know, you look at what's going on with Nikki Bella and Cena. and all these fucking websites and podcasts that fell for that shit. And then all the people are reporting about Carmella. And then all the people are reporting about Roman Reigns and the steroid stuff. I mean, it just goes down the freaking line, one after the other after the other. And just people are just obsessed with getting hits and likes and feeling like they got a following. But at the end of the day, you know, they're just goofballs and they're jokes. And I think that's who he was attacking, not people that were supporting him.
Right, not the general wrestling fan. I think, like, if you watch the video, perhaps you're right, DT, if you don't read the lyrics and you're watching the video like, oh, what is he now, anti-wrestling fan, after we kind of, you know, a lot of people embraced him. So I guess, yeah, you got it. It's the first interpretation, but maybe if you dig deeper, you'll see that he's being specific.
Yeah, Ben and everyone at every week always tells me to name names. I don't need to name names. You know, you can see it for yourselves. I mean, I honestly have been saying this for over a decade, and I mean it. We have the most intelligent listeners out there. I mean, as far as we're amateurs. I mean, we're not professionals like, you know, the people who've been in the business and Hall of Famers and stuff like that. But as far as amateurs, we have the most intelligent audience because we always incorporate real life, common sense, intelligence. We don't sit here and just do recaps and, you know, just sound like, you know, like robots reading shit word for word. I mean, we actually dissect and give our honest feelings about it. And a lot of times we incorporate our own real life situations to this stuff. You're the one that said way back when that with this girl, Philomena, it felt like buyer's remorse. You know, she slept with him, they partied, she didn't like the way she was treated the night after, and okay, I'm gonna fuck him over. You know, and this is, you've seen this in your club scene, you've seen, it's just, we incorporate real life into this shit. And I mean, honestly, there's no other podcast that does that. There's some people who are newer that are legit, but seriously, since day one, I mean, we always incorporate real shit with what we do.
Well, we do point counterpoint here too. Like you said, if we agreed on everything, this show would just go down the drain. As far it would just be boring because we're not looking at it from all different aspects, and then we let our audience decide what they think.
Yeah, I mean,
we're not telling them this is how you have to think or you're an idiot. Like, you know, we're not cursing out our audience.
I have no problem with anybody that disagrees and shit that I say, but just, you know, have a real counterpoint to it. I mean, the Bobby Lashley stuff really, really pissed me off. It's funny to look back on it and see that I did a 15-minute rant about racism and all this other shit. People were in droves calling me racist because I was indifferent to Bobby Lashley's return. And now it's 6 weeks, 2 months later, and people across the board just call it an absolute failure. I blame it on WWE writing more than anything else. But it's funny to see all these other people, oh, look, Bobby Crickets, Bobby this, Bobby that. And I'm like, yeah, I felt like joking and just writing back, racist, 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 racist. I mean, you know, and Ben, it's not just feeding trolls. It is just you talked about it on Castle Chronicles last week. It is just the environment that we live in these days.
It is.
It's SJWs, it's snowflakes, and a lot of our listeners are not SJWs, and they're not so snowflakes. But the problem is it creeps in every little thing that's going on. It creeps in. I went on a rant on Brett Zublasi last week that people were actually, you know, calling WWE homophobes for the segment of Lashley. These weren't three men identifying themselves as, you know what I'm saying? They don't even understand what homophobic is.
Also,
or transphobic. Excuse me.
But guys like Flip Wilson and Jamie Foxx and stuff and Tyler Perry have been dressing up like women and imitating women for years in the African American community. There's no homophobic thing behind it. By the way, it's supposed to be comedic.
Yes,
it's supposed to be.
It was a horrible skit. You know, just because a skit sucks, you know, it's an easy way out. That when something sucks these days, you have to throw a bias into it instead of just saying, "Look, the segment sucked." Plain and simple, it sucked. But, you know, when they're watching Medea and they're watching skits on Saturday Night Live and they're watching movies and the Wayans brothers being women and nobody says a fucking thing about it. Why? Because it's entertaining. But when it's not entertaining, it's transphobic, homophobic, racist, blah, 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 blah. Fuck out of here. Seriously.
It's desperate. By the way, Enzo Amore now calling himself Real1. Is that his name now?
Well, that's been his tag online,
well,
social media.
What we're saying is he can't call himself Enzo Amore.
Well, I found it interesting that World Star Hip Hop site and YouTube actually has Enzo Amore in parentheses. Right. Something tells me that if WWE owns the trademark to that name, they're probably going to send a little cease and desist. Saying,
after tonight, definitely.
Well, it'll be interesting because Mish has been saying for a while now that, maybe he should possibly look into a wrongful termination suit with WWE. Yes, he's an independent contractor. That doesn't mean that WWE could just fire someone simply for any specific reason. Look at the Dawn Marie suit that went on way back when. The people say that she got fired because she got pregnant. She's an independent contractor. Oh, so what? But she was successfully in suing them. So, it'd be interesting to see if WWE, if they fear about the wrongful termination, if they would immediately send a cease and desist to Enzo. If you see the name Enzo Amore disappear from the YouTube link and other places, then you know that somebody, said something. But speaking of law, I'll just mention it quick as far as lawsuits go. There was news reported this weekend that MLW sent a legal letter to WWE telling them to stop contacting wrestlers who are under contract with MLW.
Yeah.
So I thought that was funny because I've brought this up several times over the years. I'll never forget. I think it might have been the second Chris Candido Memorial show for Frank Goodman when he was doing UXW, but he had the New Age Outlaws there. And at that time, they were still in TNA as the Voodoo Kid Mafia. Mm-hmm. And Tommy Dreamer, if I remember, I think it was Tommy Dreamer that was there. And I think he got on the mic and said, for one night only, you can be the New Age Outlaws. So they did the whole New Age Outlaws skit. And the funny thing is, I'm not saying that Tommy Dreamer was the one that did it, but there were people that worked for WWE that were there, and they were having conversations with TNA contracted wrestlers. This goes on every year. It goes on all the time. You do an indie show, and there's someone that's friend of someone, and they'll always throw, some, feelers out there to see. So I don't think MLW is going to be successful in anything.